Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the MoJo Monday, a place where you're going to be able to listen in on, and hear some very authentic, as Jim says, unrehearsed and real stories tonight. So we're definitely in for a treat with our speakers and who's coming into this call. And the VIP, as always, on this line is each and every one of you for showing up and stepping up. I'm Robert here at my home office in the great state of Texas, and my host with the most,
Mr. Jim Rhoades, up in St. George, Utah, which is a beautiful place to be in.
It is a beautiful place, and many of us are going to be up there with you, my friend.
Very soon. We're inviting the whole world, so come on in. The water's fine.
Show of hands, who's going to be in St. George in a few weeks? Yes, it's going to be fun. If you're on this call, don't know about that. It's called MPW, Master Your Power Within and Without. So it's going to be an amazing call. Amazing. We're so used to these calls. We actually have a live event where we can actually do 50, 70, 80, 100 hugs, whatever that looks like for us. So it's going to be fun. All right, so let me pull up some slides. I know, Jim, we're interviewing you as the main leader. If you're okay to still assume some duties as a co-host, we
absolutely will. Absolutely. I've been practicing all day to do this part.
Yeah, I think you have, my friend.
Well, as Robert has said, you are the VIPs on the line. Thank you for showing up. And tonight, we're being hosted Zalevo MoJo Monday, next level of wellness and business stories. And we have some wonderful health stories that we'll be sharing. None of these are rehearsed. These are just from the heart, from people who've experienced them. And then we'll have an interview of best practices for those who are involved in sharing these incredible products that we call Zalevo with the rest of the world. And so thank you for joining us tonight. The things that you will hear, we don't claim to be doctors, so we don't diagnose or prescribe or claim to heal anyone. We do suggest formulations of food that can help the body do a lot of its own work and self-heal. We also may be mentioning a little bit about an income stream, and we make no claims there either because it's dependent upon us showing up. And if we want to share so awesome products with other people, we can make a little bit or a little bit more, or actually a living at it. And several people have found a way to do that, and we want to share how that is done, even tonight, to some extent. So again, for those who are on the line live, and those who will be joining us later on the video, thank you for joining us. Zalevo actually comes from three words, as I'm looking at it right here: Zalevo, and the Z standing for zenith, or the highest point in an arc. And levo is Latin for to lift. So the objective of this company is to lift everyone to their highest potential, both physically, mentally, and I will even add spiritually. And so thank you for joining us tonight. You're in for a treat. We've got some very special guests. So I'll turn that back over to Robert.
Thank you, Jim. And again, next Monday leadership interview, as I volunteered myself. We have Jim tonight. I'm going to be sharing some nuggets next week, along with some wellness stories. It's going to be fun. And again, in case you haven't noticed, the flow of these calls is to take leaders who are, locked in and committed to this mission, and we share just authentic aspects of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and some of the common pitfalls you can avoid as well. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully you'll join us next week as well. So tonight, the stories, we're going to hear from the amazing Miss Beth, way up in the northwest part of the States, up in the Seattle area. We're going to hear from a beautiful couple who have won actually many awards already in the short time they've been on board. And they are truly servant leaders, David and Geri Hinton, who are just right down the road from Jim and his beautiful wife, Kathy. And then we're going to also be interviewing and spotlighting the journey, some of the insights, and just pick Jim's brain a little bit, along with he always has a big heart of service. So we're going to hear from Jim Rhoades tonight. And then at the end, his amazing and brilliant, I'm going to embarrass her probably, amazing, brilliant, beautiful, powerful Kathy Rhoades as well. So
The power behind the throne.
Yes.
They always say behind every successful man is a very surprised mother-in-law.
I love that. Very, very true. So we're going to have fun tonight. So we're going to start with a lady who's only been on board for a couple of weeks, literally days. And we're going to hear some of the wellness shifts already happening within her own body and household here. And we're going to also, toward the end of her story in just a minute, we're also going to ask her kind of what was most appealing, what attracted her to this community. So let me switch to my speaker mode. Jim, do you want to help me introduce Beth?
Absolutely. Beth and I and yourself go back many, many years, and she has become one of my dearest friends. She's a absolute servant leader, and she attracts those kinds of people. And even though we were involved in a wonderful company that blessed many lives with great products, we were never in the same teams, but we helped each other's team, which is her belief, her core, exactly as it is many of us on this call, or most of us tonight. And so she is full of wisdom, and she's brilliant. All the things that you used to describe my wife, I could say, yep, right back at Beth. She is that incredible. I know she's married to a wonderful man named Dave, and they live up in the Seattle area. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm just humbled and honored to be able to be with you all tonight. Yeah, so Jim and I worked together very closely, and I was very well aware of, the Arthurs and what they were contributing to our previous company together, as well as many of you on this call. And so it does feel like coming home in many ways. My product experience so far has been sort of limited, but I can tell you that, so far, what I am experiencing is just the appreciation of such an extraordinary extension and the next level of extraordinary nutrition and what it's doing for my body. I can already see the collagen in my skin, and I was already supplementing with collagen. So this is just a whole new level of results with that. Enjoying the shake. And especially with the heat in Seattle right now, we're not very accustomed to it. A lot of us, including us, do not have air conditioning yet. So it's a hot day today. And so I'm really grateful for Drench and what that's meant for ongoing hydration. So I spent 16 years in the network marketing profession before finding Zalevo, and really enjoyed lots of the marketing pieces around that, because I spent 20 years in marketing and advertising before, in radio and television advertising as part of my corporate career. And so this is a chance to really contribute to a company that, has been around now for a while and has really big goals and big intentions about blessing people all over the world. And I'm just so grateful for the invitation and for what it has meant, and how kind everyone has been, and how welcoming, and how willing to open the doors for participation and contribution as well. And it's just a real joy and pleasure to be able to do that with each of you. And I'm looking forward to a very dynamic, extraordinary future, and hoping that several of my friends and colleagues over the years will choose the same home. And if they don't, then, we just leave that door open for them down the road. So that's what I have to share this morning, or this evening. What day is it?
Yeah,
started so freaking early this morning. I was just like, oh, I know, but it was worth it. It was totally worth it.
Awesome. And we can add this too. How many of you see the Z glow in her skin? It's amazing. So we're so glad to have you here, Miss Beth. If you can touch on, our number one selling formulation is this full spectrum shake. Can you touch on that as well? Kind of what you're experiencing, with some other types of formulations, and then what's different about our shake?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I was noticing, especially the last couple of years with my former company's shake, that I was actually developing some kind of bloating and some gases that, were not all that pleasant, to be honest. And I'm just not experiencing any of that kind of digestive related issues at all with the shake. And I can really feel the difference as my body is absorbing it. And I think, when you've been in the profession of nutrition for as long as some of us have been, you get to know your body very well. And so you have the opportunity to make some good comparisons about what has been before and the differences that I'm experiencing with this one. So yeah, that's for sure. The other thing that I had a new colleague that's just recently joined us point out, she's like, Beth, with this shake, there's no granules left in the bottom of it that didn't get absorbed, that didn't get really truly mixed in. And I've noticed that as well. It blends very smoothly and I don't have any residual in the bottom of my cup at all. So yeah, there's just a ton of, extraordinary benefits that I'm sure will continue to show up.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, thanks for being here and thank you for showing up. Any other questions or comments, Jim, before we move on to the Hintons?
One question. Did it feel like home when you finally made a decision to
It
join
really,
this? Because that's a big step. You were with the former company for a long time, and you're approaching that big number of million. So
yeah,
you
it
gave
was
up
a
something.
tough decision in many ways, and yet it was an easy decision in the end, mostly because you're such an incredibly gracious, amazing human, and you helped open up so many doors of so many of the executive team to have conversations with. Because when you've built an organization with over 22,000 people in your downline, it feels like a big responsibility to make a shift. And so that's what I was doing, was making a shift and making some decisions about not only my family's future and my future, but then also perhaps for some of them. And so, yeah, it was very, very welcoming. And I loved meeting with all of the folks that are part of the executive team. And, meeting with Brandon was he's just an unbelievable human. And I knew it was going to be good because you told me it was going to be good, but it's difficult to imagine, like someone, and this is the question that I asked him that I think could maybe help some other folks. So one of the things that I believe to my core occurred in my previous company was that greed and ego got in the way of making decisions for the future. And that's just my opinion. Is also, things that I observed. And so I asked Brandon about that. Like, what are the things that really help you stay grounded in assuring that as this company becomes $1 billion a year company, what will help you with that? And, it was really clear that having his relationship with his wife, his faith, and being surrounded by a very good group of also very well-grounded human beings to make sure that, that those things remain in check, because those things can get out of control pretty quickly with a lot of success. And that's what I'm fully anticipating will happen here. And it does absolutely feel like home. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome home, my friend. And
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Beth. So so excited to work with you and your team as we all grow together here. And that was one of the things that Jim commented on too, Beth, around your journey to date, was that a big key word was culture. The culture's here, the culture of that go give type of the way of living, much less doing business. So thank you. Yes, let's go over to another couple. And again, a lot of these calls, when we spotlight certain leaders, we also bring on board people that they're closest to. That's kind of the nature of these MoJo Mondays as we move forward. And so this next group, or this next couple, if you will, how many years, Jim, have you known this beautiful couple?
Over 30.
Wow.
40 years.
30, 40, who's 50? Do we hear 50? Yeah.
I didn't want them to know I was 90.
Yeah, look out. Well, David and Geri are known in this company. They've again, what were the exact awards? Was it this? It wasn't the Spirit. It was the man and woman.
Man
Yes.
and Woman of the Year.
Yes,
we could not believe it.
with Zalevo. So what well deserved, I might add. So, Jim, I'll let you step in here too. Before you do, what comes to mind when I think about this couple? Genuineness, authenticity, clearly, beautiful faith-based servant leaders, go give spirit. They just love people, and it's become an ingrained part of how they see life now and show up. They see the light in others, and they act on that. And I just love these two. So Jim, you want to finish introducing them?
You bet. What comes to my mind as soon as I think of either one of these two is integrity. They absolutely are, as a couple and as an individual each, totally transparent, and including when I've been there and they've had disagreements. But it is so good to see how they work as a team. And they have been on my board of directors without knowing it as examples to me of what I want in my relationship with my companion. And that's important because their reputation within the community they live. David got a comment the other day as he was sharing a little bit about this company and this product, or some of the products. The guy sitting next to the man he was explaining it to knew David and heard what David had to say, that the products are that good. They made that much difference for me. And he leaned over and says, if you can't believe him, you can't believe anybody. What he just said, I believe, I want some, and he didn't know what it was yet. And so that just tells you the whole world. It's how they've lived their whole life. And now quit talking so they can share what you would like them to share, Robert.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. We thought you were honoring Jim. It sounds like you're honoring us. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
it's birds of a feather. You can fill the blank in there. They definitely come together and flock together. So you're our tribe. So I guess one of my initial questions is, yeah, what were you going through? What were some of the, we call them pain points in the business arena, but in real life, it's just, what were some of the challenges you were facing, both of you, when it comes to health?
Oh, well, I wasn't facing that many health challenges. I knew I was getting older, but I was facing having a husband that I thought was going to be in a wheelchair quite soon, because he'd bend over to pick something up and then he'd feel faint and he'd have to go sit down or lay down for a while. He couldn't last longer than 10 minutes at any thing that required much effort out in the yard or any half an acre. And so I was not looking forward to some of the things that might be going on, because I didn't want to take care of it all by myself.
I think she's actually talking a little more positively than I was feeling. I really believed that I would be dead. This was in June. I really believed I would be dead at Christmas time. I did not think I'd live to see Christmas.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2.5
2 years ago, July.
Yeah. And Jim came to visit us one day. Many of you have heard this story. Jim came to visit us, and when he went to leave, I wouldn't go out to the car with him, which I had always done in the past, and he wanted to know why. And I said, because I can't get back up my front steps. There are only 3 steps, and they're not very high. But that concerned him enough. Without telling us what he was going to do, he came back 3 days later and presented us with the Ultra 30 shake. He says, I'm sick and tired of seeing you sick. I think I didn't know he had actually seen me sick, because I didn't really
Tried to keep it secret.
Yeah, very few people knew they could see it, but it wasn't something that I advertised. And he just said, I think this will help you. Well, I've been sick since I was 32, and it had just gotten worse and worse and worse. Now, I was 75 at the time, and I just tried lots and lots of things. And so I was really skeptical. But he is one of those, he wasn't insistent. He just stayed there until the drink was made and made sure I drank it. I had to call him 2 hours later because I knew within 2 hours that what he had given me, there was something in it that was different than anything I had ever had in my entire life. I didn't have one of those energy drops. And I have not had one of those energy drops since that first drink. It has literally changed my life. My wife was complaining the other day. I'd been working out in the yard for 3 or 4 hours, and that's different than 10 or 20 minutes. And she wanted to have our shakes out under the tree, and I wanted to come in where it was cool. And she says, well, you just never want to go out and enjoy the yard that you're working in. And I said, Geri, you just don't understand. I had 45 years I couldn't go out and work in the yard. And today I can go out and work in the yard, and I am loving it. She has a hard time getting me to come in.
So you ought to sit there and enjoy what it looks like. It looks so much better than it has because you've spent so much time in it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And, you know, in the process of taking this, we have introduced into our bodies everything that the company has produced. And we have found immeasurable benefits for every single thing that they have created. It has been such a huge blessing in our life.
Yeah. Wow. And that's self-evident. And so with you, David, just to sum this up, from what I've seen of your story, stamina, obviously your health, your basic core immune system, how your body functions, your energy, mental clarity, all the above. Wow. And we're always talking about you. So what have you seen in your wife, David? What shifts have you seen in Geri?
Well, the first shift I saw was a 30-pound weight loss.
Which was significant.
She has always been really healthy. And so as far as that's concerned,
I have more energy.
Yeah, she does have more energy. She can do things for a longer period of time. I have noticed that her complexion is better. And I've noticed with both of us, I don't know how old people seeing me think I look, but I'm 78 this month, and I feel like I'm 50 years old. I feel like I am going back in time, health-wise, with the things I can do today. I tell people I'm 78, I feel 50, and I can do things today that I could not do when I was 32 years old.
And, you know, everywhere we go lately, people are saying, you guys look great. You look like you feel great. We do.
And we do.
We're the only ones not complaining about how we feel.
Wow. And was a little over a year ago. And I have a tough time imagining all those years because, you know, we spent a week with you guys in Costa Rica, and it was like you guys were 2 youngsters, you know. It was just so fun just to live life the way you're living it, and now how you serve others as well. So I guess to close this segment out with you guys, what's one statement, affirmation, or reality when you think, or even blessing, when you think of Zalevo from a community and business vehicle? What comes to mind?
We just love everybody that we've associated with in this company.
We haven't found any cutthroat
No,
people.
we just love them. In fact, we've adopted some as our kids and as our brothers or sisters. We just love them like we do our regular family because they've been such a blessing in our lives.
The culture in this company is the most amazing culture I've seen in any company. My wife and I have been in a number.
But really not in network marketing like most of you have.
Yeah.
And so we're slower at it, but we're just keeping on. And the people that we see on here, all of them would just drop everything to help you with anything you needed. And they have. And we appreciate that so much because, you know, we're not as tech savvy as some of you because we are in that upper level of numbers, even though we don't look it anymore.
Yeah, well, you guys are awesome. Yeah, any other closing thoughts, questions, Jim, for this beautiful couple?
Just that I am so grateful for them. And, you know, you can be excited when you feel better from something you're taking. But when there's somebody you've known for 40 years and loved like a brother and a sister, and then you watch them reverse their age and have stamina and energy and mental clarity and all the things that you know that are important as we age, it gives you such a good feeling inside. We help one person at a time. And this time it was twofer. Both of them.
Thank you.
Well, and we are so grateful that Jim had the courage to come in and actually save my life.
And that's a true story. So thank you both for who you are and how you show up, and as well as foundationally your faith. So thank you both. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Well, before you go, David and Geri, how would you sum up the leadership of a Jim and Kathy Rhoades to help us segue into that segment of the call tonight?
Oh, wow. Jim, Jim has been really, really helpful to help us with meetings that we've held. He'll come and speak to our group. He's been instrumental in helping us bring quite a few of the people we've got in our organization, just because he's come and spoken at some of these meetings. Kathy, I don't know how you can
See,
Talk-
Kathy and
she
I
has been-
identify with each other because we do that part of the business.
she has
Really?
been
Yeah,
amazing.
you have two hubbies that love to talk, and they're very gifted. I'm not belittling because they're both gifted.
And we deal with the numbers and the follow-up and stuff like that, a lot of it, because they reach out, we follow up.
Kathy,
Although I've reached out some, yeah.
Kathy has been so good to reach out to us and answer any questions we've got, help us work through any challenges we've got. She is just an amazing servant. We really love you, Kathy.
And we have known Jim for 35 years and we've known Kathy a little bit, but it's been the last couple of years that we've really gotten to know Kathy. And I love her. And
Yeah.
I think you do.
Well, we do too. Thank you both for helping us introduce this couple. And I met Jim first. He was I think he was at a probably on stage speaking, I believe. And then this was like 21 years ago, 2021. And just again, that authenticity was, it's always there from the get-go. And then he and I connected on the phone. We didn't have Zoom back then. And then we were doing calls. He flew into my home and worked with my team. We were never financially connected before in this industry. And then I was in his home, and then obviously spent some time with his honey, Kathy, who is it's that strong, totally committed female warrior. I mean, who's always there, has been there every step of the way. And as you both said, you love Jim and Kathy both. And so also over 5 decades now, from Jim's perspective, teaching, educating, influencing, leading, mentoring, He's been a key mentor. He's been on my secret. You guys are on Jim's secret board of directors. Jim's been on my board of directors ever since I heard that concept and employed it in my own life. And he's one of our top incrementers. He's been all over the planet now, speaking and influencing in a beautiful, positive way. And he's one of my closest spiritual mentors as well. So, Jim, obviously we love you.
Thank you. Amen. Let's end this meeting.
So I'd love to hear a couple nuggets from, we always hear from you all the time because you're so darn passionate and so gifted when it comes to simplifying and explaining wellness and nutrition. From a leadership perspective, you're equally influential and just a beautiful role model. So how would you sum up part of your own journey in this profession? Meaning, what are a couple of the key ingredients that we could all learn that you've learned that helped you succeed in this business?
Probably the number one that comes to my mind is one that you helped me realize why we who are successful are, is because we show up. We show up in other people's lives. And we practice what Dr. Stephen Covey teaches in his 7 habits of think win-win. And I really mean we think win-win. What I don't accept accidents when you run into somebody who could really benefit from something I may know, because people don't know what they don't know, but at the same time, they may not be in a position to want to know what I've learned. So when you think win-win, it's got to open normally by making an offer. If there were something that could help you in your health journey, what would it look like? So it's asking inspired questions. With David, it was to show up with something that could bless his life and just simply say, mix this up and drink it, and it'll speak for itself. That's what I already knew about the products. I had learned just enough to be dangerous. I had already witnessed it with me and with Kathy. And so just sharing. And then I guess the real biggest key is, if you ask the questions, listen. And then say little things like, well, tell me more, so that they really know you're listening. And then maybe even say back to them what you think you heard them say, so they know you were listening. And at that point, what happens is that you become connected. And when they feel connected and trusted, and they trust you, then they want to know, possibly, or would be more open to knowing what it is you want to share with them. And it may not be the first or second or 10th time that you've met them. It may be down the line somewhere where they finally lean over, half listening to somebody else's conversation, and say, if that man David Hinton says that it works, it does, and I want some of it, even though I don't know what it is. I can see it in his face. I know he's an honest person. So it's being that person, but showing up in their lives. And that showing up part is what separates those who want it versus those who actually do it. And it's, we often use those words, we do the do, which is go out and be in front of people and talk to people. Love on them.
Yeah.
Share with them, invite them. Those are the 3 keys.
Which
Love
you
them,
do.
share with them, and invite them. Invite them to take a look. Here's the cool part. These products are so dynamic. It took David 2 hours maximum to know that something had happened. Now that is very quick. That doesn't usually happen, but you don't find somebody who is in the need that much. They're just somewhere on their journey of health. But within that first 5 to 10 days, sometimes 72 hours in real time, things start to happen when they put it in their body. And I love what our good friend and mentor Barbara says, you know, you got 3 decisions. You're going to use the product, and at the end of the month, you're going to say, it didn't work, I want my money back. You're going to say, it did work. What was the third one? Anyway, all 3, it's going to, if you can get them to put it into their mouth and let it do its own thing, it'll say more than we can ever say in words. And then at that point, now they want to know why it's working, and that's what's fun. That's something that lights me up.
Yeah, amen. So show up, and you practice that on a daily basis. You show up every single day, my friend. Think win-win. And yeah, I'm around you enough to realize now that's just part of how you're wired now. You've made that a core fundamental belief and habit. You do ask inspired questions, Jim, so thank you for role modeling that. And you are a gifted listener. Thank you for that. And then I love how you, just like you and I and so many people, ask, can you tell me more? And then we repeat back. Jim, I heard you say that. Could you tell me? I think I heard you say this. Am I getting this right? And then repeat it back to him. And then you said, love, share, and invite. And then love, share, and invite. If you want to know the 3 steps to whether you want to make $1 million or make an extra 1,000 or just get your 3 products, your 3 in free credit, isn't that the essence, Jim? Love, share, and invite.
It sure worked for somebody that I use as my mentor. Yes, love, share, and invite. And then just invite them in. And as has been said so well, some will say, I'm not ready for it, or no, thank you. And we can't take it personal. It's not about us, it's about them. It's where they are in their journey. And we can't take that away from them.
Very true. Jim, just in closing, what's one of the pitfalls maybe that you have stepped into that we can avoid? What's one big epiphany?
One great big one. Wanting this for the other person more than they want it. And becoming so wanting that to happen for them because they deserve it, and I can see it would bless them because I know of the science of how it works and they don't, that I get way overboard and say way too much. In fact, here's my short story. Before Zalevo, I was losing the ability to run, jump, ride 4-wheelers, or even be in a car for 2 or 3 hours at a time without excruciating discomfort and loss of mobility. After one master formulation, the collagen 300, I can now go out and run 5 miles. I can now drive for 10 hours in a row and get out and kick my heels. But that's not the product I'm most excited about. The one I'm most excited about is Burn, and it's not the collagen. It's because that is so ahead of the game for anybody who wants to turn on that little fountain of youth that's inside of all of us. It now has a chance to do that for even people like me with low blood sugar. And that's never been the case prior to now.
Wow. I love that story, and you are a living example of that, the testament to that. Thank you, Jim. So the star of the hour, let's bring her on. And she's a bit shy, and we love her for that because she's still willing to show up. And she wanted to say just a couple maybe thoughts or maybe insights in closing here, whatever you'd like to say. So Jim, how many years you married to this beautiful lady?
Going on 53.
53 years. What is one thing that comes to mind when you think of Kathy, not just as your wife, because that's your soulmate. How would you describe her from the role she plays and instrumental role, foundational role in your Zalevo legacy business.
She's probably about the best listener I've ever met. And she's never raised her voice to any person I've ever seen her with in 53 years.
Whoa.
So she has a heart of a warrior, but can bite her tongue even if insults are hurled at her, and say these simple words, nevertheless, that's how it is. That is such a key thing with her to my children who are all over. And she
So
says,
it's nevertheless, the answer is no.
oh, that's it.
I love it. So Kathy, we will stop blabbering here. So Kathy, we love you. So what would you like to share in closing here, my friend?
I honestly, everybody has covered everything that I have in my heart about Zalevo. Beth, you talked about how the products are effective and how they've helped you. David and Geri, obviously they're effective, they work. And Beth, you mentioned how you can use your shaker, shake it up, and there's still no grain in the bottom. And you can drink it. They taste good. And when I'm looking at a company or when I'm talking to people about it, there really are three things. And then after you've joined, there's a fourth. The first one is product. They work. They're effective. They are quality nutrition. And like they say about you, David, that if you say it, they believe you. I trust Kirsty. And the products is the first thing I look at. The second thing is company. Beth, you mentioned company and the corporate team. You mentioned Brandon and his integrity. I think it's really important to note the integrity of a company and their people and their core values. And integrity and core values go hand in hand. And the stability of the company is another. And then you also want to look at the compensation plan. And we all know that that's the best that we could find. And then once you've become part of Zalevo, you've also mentioned this, and that is you guys. It's the relationships, it's the community, it's the friendships that you build that are here. That all of this together is Zalevo. And you guys have said it all. So that's my piece.
Well, I love it. So
Thank you.
trust in the product and the company, and integrity, core values, obviously well compensated, so many levels. And then what ties it all together, as you said, Kathy, is the community, isn't it? The relationships. So yeah. Well, speaking of that, love and light too. Can't wait to give you a big hug in a few weeks here. So thanks for being on tonight. By the way, you're looking beautiful. You have that Z glow going on there, my friend. So Jim, closing thought as we round out and finish out our call tonight.
Yes, my closing thought is I see all of you on this line, and I will give my wife a hug for each one of you. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Robert. And thank you, Hinton's. And thank you, Beth. My goodness. Real and raw, heart. Yeah, I have some little tears, and so I'll just go cry quietly away.
Well, we love it. So guys, we're gonna yell out a couple different times. One, in just a moment, I'm gonna count to 3, and please say love you, thank you, whatever you like to say to our guest tonight, Miss Beth, and then the Hintons, and then the Rhoades, these beautiful people. So here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Force for
Love
good.
you.
You, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Beth,
you.
Jim,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
Rhoades, Hinton's,
Love you
and Beth.
all.
Love you guys. And Jim, please give us a little countdown, please. Core value.
Oh, absolutely. The core value of force for good, which I believe we are, at the count of 3. And if you want to lift your hands in the air towards the one who made us good, you're welcome to. So 1, 2, 3. Force
Force for good.
good. Oh.
Love you guys.
Night,
love
everybody.
you.
Love you.
Oh, we love all of you so much.
Good night.
Thank
Love
you,
you,
Carol.
Night, John Boy.